It's happened again. Someone's mentioned how I'm perfect and someone else is being judged and being condemned for something, and it hits a trigger. It's a judgment thing. They're holding me up on a pedestal, a tall and shaky thing to be sitting atop of, and condemning someone else, kicking them in the dirt, and judging their worth and writing them off like there's just no hope for them. That's the sound of geese. I'm in the northern Ontario woods around a campfire under the moonlight and the stars and the open sky, mid-October in my shirt sleeves, with a little cabin nearby and a little pond miles from anyone. I hear something moving in the bush. Huh. Very cool. So yeah, about that judgment thing. Yeah, I went off. I won't have someone condemn someone else and associate my name with perfection right along beside it. I can't happen. Well, at the same time, I'm trying to tell my story with absolute compassion for every character in it and understand my part in creating the situations that I was in and in owning my rather large imperfections. Everything's just a little more than life size with me. At just about 6'1", yeah, there's no flying under the radar. And I once heard myself described by a mentor of the most senior level in sport that there was, the FEI judges, here freshly from Europe to Canada for the very first time at Checkmate. And as he passed me, he said something to the effect of, "Oh, well, that's Paige Lockton. If you can't see her, you can most certainly always hear her." Of course, at the time I was sitting on top of my boyfriend's shoulders, and he was 6'8". And so I think we were 12 foot of people, with me cackling and screaming to be let down. And so fair enough. Back to judgment. I tend to digress. But I am looking up at the stars by a fire. And back to the judgment thing and the button. Like, I can't have someone going, "Oh, you would never do this, like this horrible person who shall be condemned and I'll write off forever." Because, yeah, I did it. I overrode horses. I over-asked. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Or it's maybe not the only why, but it certainly drives a lot of it. I owe them a lot. I really do. For ego-driven pursuits, because I got praise for doing it good. That's the only time I really got noticed. And it's the only thing I was good at, because I hung out with them night and day. And I comforted them for my dad, who treated them as a veterinarian. So they liked me. I knew how to make them stand still and tolerate what my dad had to do to make them feel better and communicate that it was for their best interest. And they just did stuff for me. And I did it while young, and I looked like an adult. And I was raised by two possibly of the most exceptionally busy people, hardworking people you'll ever meet in your life, on both sides. And I got noticed when I was perfect with the ponies and rode well. And I fed off of that. I could not. there was not a mistake out there that I would own. There's no way I would not own a mistake. And on the ponies and horses that I had, I could get away with a lot. They were phenomenal. They were amazing. And I asked a fuck ton of them. The ponies taught me. I had extraordinary ponies that could jump against the horses, which is a real piss off when a 9-year-old or 10-year-old is beating you. But I was the height of a full-grown adult, so expectations were high. And I pushed horses harder than they ever should have been pushed, faster than they ever should have been asked to gallop, and jump more things all in a row, all in one day, and exert themselves far more than I ever should have. And they hurt themselves because of me. And we're extraordinary. And the world deserves better than that. The horses deserve better than that. And there are people doing better than that. And I would like to meet them and study them and practice with them and learn and spread it. Because that feels right. And so to my number one fan who thinks I can still do no wrong and likes to criticize other people who shall be condemned because they were so horrible, and he'd tell me all kinds of horrible reasons why they were so horrible. I don't want to hear any more horrible reasons why people are horrible. That's not my focus in life. And I want to focus on what I can do. And I know people can change because I am. So, yeah. And because I only am because others have before me, and I've met them and heard their stories and heard stories of others that are far more extraordinary than mine. And people are capable of extraordinary change, from lives of actively harming others and themselves to, and this translates to the riding, doesn't matter whether it's a horse or a child or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a son or daughter, it's all the same. And they've changed. Well, I've been spending at least a good 5 years or more. Real hard for 5, but probably actively since 2015. Searching out better ways to communicate and be than the ones that I knew. And I look to mentors like Carmen Theobald and Mustang Maddie and Warwick Schiller. Don't say Warwick, for fuck's sakes. Not if you associate it with me. I taught you to say Warwick. Like you've got a mouthful of marbles. I would like to go spend time there and meet them. I hope they do find out where they do next year's summit. I'd like to interview them and be interviewed by them. And talk about what change and growth looks like and how hard it is to change from pure sort of pressure and release and tactics that are just honestly flooding their nervous system, whether you want to think they are or not, whether you want to think that's appropriate or not. And sometimes it is. We'll get into that debate now. But there are people doing it without doing that for most things with horses. And, doing things like half pass without pressure and release or bridle and saddle. Well, I've done some bareback dressage in the snow with a halter and lead rope that would have really impressed you. I remember being pretty impressed myself, but I was much younger then. And not that ambitious. Holy camole, that's amazing. So I would like to see that done and practice it and be taught it and spread it and just keep spreading the magic of horsecraft, with a dream to go mobile and travel at a rate across a country that would be appropriate for a horse with a partner or two. Thoroughbred and a mini. And doesn't a mini need a friend too for when the thoroughbred's doing its thing? I don't know. Maybe it, anyway. Think portable classroom in the back, and when the horses aren't in it, you can set up a portable classroom in there, living quarters in the front, drive it down the road. It's the magic. I bring the magic. Bring the music, help you understand your horse, and spread what I learn, and film it and document it. So that was a long way from the whole judgment thing, but the thing that's been holding me back from doing this, because I've been talking about it for a little while now, is the fear of judgment. The fear that someone will find out that I hit a horse or pushed a horse too hard, or my horse tied up. He tied up more than once. He tied up on me twice, and kept going. I did 5 CCIs after that clear. Yeah, so just the fear of being judged and taken down and making mistakes in front of others while you're telling them how to do it better. Well, it turns out that's a bad, stupid old leadership model we don't have to worry about. That the whole paramilitary bullshit that we learned growing up and are being praised for, well, for me it was either, the legs that went up to my armpits, sex kitten, or riding good. There may be better ways to shape behavior than the ones that we were raised with. But we didn't know. And in my case, I didn't know in time to not harm, although not irretrievably damage, my amazing, resilient, beautiful human being children. Yeah, I didn't go through life doing no harm to get where I got. So don't judge me. I won't judge you for where you're at in your journey. And at some point, I hope we kind of find some points that we can agree on. And if this sort of thing resonates with you, then please, for God's sakes, share it. Because if you don't, I can't get sponsorship and actually spend the hours that I do doing this all the time and not make money anymore. I need to make a living. And you can help me do that so easily. It's fucking mind-boggling. You just have to subscribe, ideally, or press the share button or something, or tell a friend. And book a clinic. I'll bring the magic. Take a chance. And remember, anything is possible. Together. That's the magic